Hello, hello, everybody. Y'all already know what time it is. Y'all to see the face. Y'all hear the jazz in the background, hopefully. And we have a guest again. Y'all done heard about my boy before, but go ahead and introduce yourself.
One time for the one time. It's your boy Kenny, aka TKD Kenny on YouTube and TKD underscore Kenny, 20-year martial artist, also 3D animator, working on some things. Man, glad to be here once again, Mr. Joker.
And it is your boy Joker, as you can see. Y'all already know me. And at this point, y'all know my boy Kenny. You know what I mean? And we're gonna have him here for a good while. You know what I'm saying? Because we got some stuff to talk about here. So thank you for pulling up, brethren.
Anytime, man.
Now this is more or less a video about the anime community, right? And we want to have a real discussion about this stuff because obviously we like anime. That's what we're here for. You know what I mean? Yeah. If we didn't like anime, we wouldn't even be making this video. But I think that there are some grievances that has to do with the anime community that is giving a bad rap for everybody that likes anime. And I have a couple of options or a couple of things to talk about here. Obviously, this is a series that can be more than just one part. So if there's something else that anybody else wants to talk about or wants us to talk about, throw it in the comment section after the video or even during the video to let us know, you know what I mean, which I want to listen to, and then we can talk about those as well. But I want to start this off with being the first. The first thing is something that I guess you could say hits home towards me and Kenny a lot because, as you heard in his introduction, he does 3D animation. And if you guys didn't know, I went to college literally for animation. Animation is a big topic, and the thing that I want to dive into is more or less the people that trash the animation. I guess you can say. Obviously, we can all see good animation and be like, oh wow, that looks pretty. But the people that are on the internet that trash it and do all of this stuff. Kenny, what's your take on those types of people?
And first of all, I want to give high respects to anybody, whether 2D or 3D, 3D animation, man. Before I got into this, man, it was a lot of things that I had to teach myself. Watching videos that were 8 to 10 hours, and now that I actually sit down and actually watch these things that I'm doing, and I'm actually doing it now. And I just created one of my first characters the other day, and within creating that other character the other day, man, it actually took me like 10 hours to do it. So you think about it, man, 10 hours to create a character, and that character, sometimes you're only gonna see, that character on the screen. It could be just a teacher in the classroom that you're only gonna see for like maybe 30 to 40 seconds, but yet it took somebody 10 hours to make sure that that teacher looked like a teacher and make it believable. So, first things first, I want to start off with high respects for anybody that does it, so it's so much more I want to get into, but man, I'm gonna let you go ahead and get it, because man, this gonna be a deep dive.
Well, coming from a background of somebody that has been to school for a little animation, it's I feel like there's no problem with having a preference towards the way certain anime looks, right? Because even I have seen certain anime where it's like, okay, obviously you can watch a certain anime like anime A and anime B and be like, let's say Demon Slayer and One Piece. The animation for Demon Slayer obviously looks more presentable. One Piece does still have good animation, obviously from Toei, who's been doing this for a long time, been in the game for a long time. But like, I don't have a problem when people say that a certain animation like looks better, than another one, because I mean that's just your preference, and I mean at times that's facts. That's just what it is, right? I mean everybody
Yeah.
has different drawing and animation styles, but I think that my problem comes more or less when people are like, I'm not even gonna give the show a chance because the animation sucks and it's just terrible and it's boom boom boom. Because most of the people that say that are people that don't do animation themselves, so they don't understand the process of sitting in a chair and creating all of these scenes for hours upon hours upon hours upon hours. Like, it's very stressful. You know what I mean? It's not easy at all. And you're doing this essentially to just get trashed by some random people on the internet that don't even know what the first or any of the steps of animation is. And you're doing this in a quota. Like, you got pretty much a week to make this happen because you need the new episode out next week, and then the week after that you need the new episode out because Lord have mercy, let y'all take a 1 week break. Now everybody's tweaking out. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we didn't get our episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, blah 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 blah. Like, and then most of those people in them studios, the higher tier studios, ain't working on just one anime. They're working on multiple animes at the same time. You know, and if they have enough people to delegate certain people, okay, you work on this anime, you guys work on this anime, then, you know, maybe, but sometimes it's people working on multiple projects at once. We're not just making an episode for Jujutsu Kaisen, we're making an episode for two other anime at the same time that we have to get all out in a week. Like, come on, bro, cut them a little slack.
Yeah, you gotta, and then you gotta think about it. You know, when you look at, when you look at the things that we're able to see when it comes down to when it comes down to these animations, man. You go back and you look at things like Demon Slayer.
Right.
Voted one of the prettiest animations out there, most detailed. Man, they're spending right at, I think, and I could be wrong, so I'm gonna just give a guesstimate. They're spending somewhere between 100 and 300,000
Mm-hmm.
American dollars
Per episode.
per episode. You
Mm-hmm.
know, JJK, the same thing, man. Just to give it. So, I feel like if you don't like it, understand that, it's not for us all to sit up here and just be like, yeah, man, I don't like it, but show these people some grace, man. These are people that, right now are going through some things where, we're talking about studios getting shut down because people are being underpaid,
Mm-hmm.
for us to literally just pay Crunchyroll, 10 to 15 bucks a month and have access to all of this stuff, for $10 to $15, then we're talking about somebody's livelihood here. And so just show a little grace, just because you don't like it don't mean that it's trash. And definitely remember that, when it comes down to like the OG, animes, we look at
Mm-hmm.
Hunter x Hunter, you look at stuff like Yu Yu Hakusho, the old school Gundams, you know, that stuff wasn't digital, man. That was actually people sitting in a studio for hours and actually drawing this stuff
Making it
on
happen, yeah.
color, coloring with color pencils and crayons and markers. The original Dragon Ball Z, in my opinion, looks a whole lot better. It's a lot more detailed. I mean, Goku went Super Saiyan and he had blood coming out of his arm, yo. Like, how do you get blood coming out your arm, dog? Like, and you were still able to see his muscle definition.
Yeah.
Even the first few episodes of Naruto, you watch when they were fighting Zabuza,
Yeah.
and it's like, man, but they wanted to give you such a great fight scene that you actually saw points where it was just like, well, that doesn't look as pretty, but Naruto also still holds having some of the best anime fight scenes, with what they can do. And like I said, man, everything ain't digital, so I thought, they did a great job, man.
And again, I feel like obviously there's some people, and this is a good segue into the next topic. But the last statement I want to put on the animation thing is that there's a lot of things that you can not like the anime about, right? The story, the characters, stuff like that. But the animation, I mean, Obviously it's subjective depending on, some things might look prettier than others, and that can catch people's eyes. But like Kenny said, cut them some slack, man. Like it's a very hard job, and you got to realize that people like the voice actors are way more famous than the animators, but the animators do a lot more work than the voice actors do. They read something off of a piece of paper. These guys have to create all of the animation, and they're not really getting paid well to do it either. So cut them some slack. But within the segue, the next segue is the, I guess you could say, topic of anime itself being trash. So, like, not anime as a whole, but like anime as in like people, I guess you can say, saying that a certain show is just trash in general. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh man, man, I'm I'm actually guilty at this point. But you know, I had to go back and realize like, yo, Ken, yeah, bro, you gotta chill. And it's like, well, what did I do? And it's like, watch what you say. And it's like, well, I didn't say nothing wrong. And then I thought about it. Like I said, I'm like, man, like these people spend hours and hours in the studio, man. Like to sit there and say something's trash just because I don't like it, man. That definitely, definitely something different. So, what I try to do, my best at is, I'm not gonna sit out there and say that, say that something is trash. That's definitely, definitely wrong with me. So I usually do my best to be like, if I don't like it,
Mm-hmm.
then, hey, then that's just something that I don't like. But to sit up there and legitimately be like, yeah, that's trash. That's crazy. To sit there and dog somebody out, somebody's hard work. So I can't sit there and just like I say and say that something is trash. That's a no go. That's something we really got to work on. Something that
Mm-hmm.
we gotta gotta stop doing, man. It's very disingenuous of us, like I said, especially when people are, you know these people, they go, they do they job, they work hard,
Yeah.
sit there. There's been reports of people sleeping at the studio.
Yeah.
It's like,
There's no
wait a
point in
minute.
going home because you're gonna have to be right back there in a couple hours anyway.
Wait a minute, like we sleeping at the studio, and it's like, yeah, man, we sleeping at the studio. Like, oh no, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
we can't be doing that, So, yeah, give these people give these people they whatchamacallit, they
Mm.
grace. Like I said, I do my best to do that, So yeah, that's the thing, man. Can't call it trash. You can easily say that you don't like it, but to say it's trash, man, come on now. Let's be a little more, give people a little bit more grace,
Hmm.
before we call something trash.
I think, in my opinion, I don't have a problem with somebody. You're not gonna like everything you watch. That's just how it is. I use an example of, let's say, Sword Art Online. I've watched Sword Art Online, like the first couple of seasons, maybe two or three, and I just personally don't like it. Right now, obviously, calling it trash is it's always weird because it's like when you're doing that, you're like not intentionally, but still somewhat putting down the fan base, which kind of sucks for a fan, right? Perspective
Hmm.
of somebody that likes that show. But it's like it's always weird because a lot of people that say the anime is that a certain anime is trash, either A is going off of a group opinion. So like, I'm gonna defend Fairy Tale a little bit. I know that that's some gasps in the crowd here, right? But this is coming from somebody who's actually watched every episode of Fairy Tale. I've watched all of it. You know what I mean? I've watched all of the arcs. I've seen the character development. I've seen all of that stuff. Most of the people that say Fairy Tale is trash are people that A, haven't seen it at all and are just hearing what people say about it, who also probably hasn't seen it. Or B, they might have watched maybe one season or like 20 episodes and then they say it's trash. Right. In my defense, when I talk about Sword Art Online, one, I don't really call it trash. I just say I don't like it, and my reason for not liking it is because I've watched 3 seasons of it, and nothing there was too impressive. The first season was pretty good, and then the second season, certain characters, like let's say Asuna, just completely jumped off of a cliff for some reason. I was like, okay, well she was kind of cool. It also didn't help that the main character, in my opinion, was somebody that was too overpowered. Which, in my opinion, if you make your main character too strong, then there is a lack of character development, unless that's the purpose of the show. One Punch Man, the purpose of One Punch Man is that the main character's too strong. So that's understandable. You know what I mean? He's the One Punch Man. That's understandable. Kirito is not the One Punch Man. So I didn't know why he was that strong at the beginning, and then it just kind of screws, because where does your character develop from there? You know what I mean? So the main character's really not developing that much, in my opinion, and the characters that were side next to him are going down. So within the 3 seasons that I watched, I just personally didn't like the show. Sinon is cool, but that was pretty much it, right? But I think that is there's a difference between that and then people going off of based opinion or limited knowledge of the show. So like, I'm a huge Naruto fan. That's my favorite anime of all time. There's people that say Naruto is trash. I mean, that's their opinion. You know what I mean? I can't necessarily get mad at that. I usually just ask them, okay, well, what about it is trash? And then from their answer, I can tell if they have either even watched the show at all or if they've only watched limited amounts. Which in that case, it's like, okay, well, this guy has only watched 20 episodes. There's 700 episodes of Naruto. You know what I'm saying? So what am I supposed to... You know what I mean? Like, okay, sure, I guess. Right? Or this dude hasn't even watched it at all. He's just going off of an opinion. Well, then there's not even the purpose of me talking to this guy, because for what? He hasn't seen the show. What am I going to bring up? An arc that he doesn't know anything about? You know what I mean? I do enjoy talking to the people that might not like Naruto but have seen all of Naruto, because then you can actually pick their brain a little bit, right? There's a conversation there. Like, oh, I've watched all of the show, but I didn't like this arc, or I didn't like how they did this with that, because they could have did this and turned this into... Okay, cool. But like, bro, you've seen 2 episodes. Shut up. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, we don't care. And that's perfectly fine to be like, hey, look, I've watched 10 episodes of blah, 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 blah. It just didn't... It's not up to my speed. Maybe I have to watch more, maybe I won't, but I mean, who knows? But to be like, Naruto's trash, but I've only watched 4 episodes.
You can't, man.
You haven't watched it. Like, what are we talking about here?
You know, and that's wild, you know, and that's one, like you said, that's one of those things where, you know, you can't say that something is like legitimately something that's trash. But if it was trash, it would have never got, you know, it never would have hit the big 3. You know, it's one of the top selling, it has one of the top selling mangas, first of all.
Yeah.
And for it to be trash, I know for a fact Naruto's sitting well over 800 something odd episodes like that, you know. So
multiple movies.
Movies. I mean, if like I say, if it was trash, these things wouldn't happen. You know, it wouldn't. It wouldn't be one of those type of deals where it's just like, oh well, it's trash. Okay, well you can say that you don't like it. That's understandable. Like,
everybody's not gonna like the same thing. Yeah, correct.
We don't all care for the same thing, but for us to be, like I say, for us to be just be that disingenuous about it is like come on, man, we got to be a little bit more realistic. Let's, like I say, let's stop with that. That's not, like I said, it's definitely not cool, you know. And we got to do better at judging. Now, like I say, watch your wordage. If you just don't like it, then once again, nah, man, I just really couldn't. Yeah. I really couldn't rock with it, you know. But like, come on now, let's be realistic, man. Let's not downplay some things.
That's why I can't call Sword Art trash. I mean, it has multiple seasons, it has video games, it has movies. I mean, it can't be that trash if it's that successful. I personally just don't like the story. I've seen 3 seasons of it. Now, maybe if I go catch up, I might like it. You know,
Hmm.
I'm not saying I'd never watch it again. What I'm saying is that I've put a halt on catching up because what I've seen so far, I personally didn't like, and there's a lot of other series out there that I would rather delve into at the moment. You know what I mean? If
Hmm.
that makes sense. And then if there's a time where there's nothing to watch, and I just was like, okay, well, let me give it another try, I'll do it. And I think that's perfectly fine. And I think
Yeah,
that that's
yeah.
also a really good segue into something else that happens to be a problem amongst the anime community. I see this all the time, bro. And that is overhyping your favorite anime while putting down other animes. Bro, I see this in a big three a lot amongst all of the fans, right? I'm one of the Naruto fans. You know what I'm saying? As far as I love Naruto a lot, but I also watch One Piece. I watched Bleach. I've seen all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Bro, there will be people that are One Piece fans. They'll be like, "Oh, One Piece is the greatest of all time," and Naruto and Bleach suck.
Oh man, like man, you can't. You really, man, you can't. And like I said, I know I probably made some people upset with what I said about Demon Slayer the other day. I'm sorry, y'all. Um,
Yeah, you didn't make me
but
upset.
but do I like Demon Slayer? I think it's good for what it does, But I just know that Demon Slayer is not for me. I know that, I watched the few seasons, and then, was there some things that I felt like could have been better? And it's just like, yes, but I'm not making it. But what I'm not gonna do is I'm not gonna sit up there and be like, it's right. Now, will I give my opinion on it? I feel like we're more than welcome to say, hey, I don't like this show because of blank, 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 blank. That's cool. You like, we're not all going to like the same thing. That's okay. It is totally fine for you not to like the same thing as everybody else. That's fine. That's good. Like, you're good. But like, nah, man, nothing. Like, you can't say, oh, well, One Piece is better, and this is why this show is trash, because that's like me saying, using like the whole McDonald's situation. Well, I like McDonald's, and because I like McDonald's, Burger King is garbage. Like, wait, what?
Right, like,
Like,
okay, thanks, bro. Like,
all right, but that makes no sense. This is so, because and we, like I say, you don't have to put one down to make one, seem better than the other ones.
yeah. Uh, it's interesting because it's like, it's very simple, and I feel like that's kind of like what the purpose of like why anime fans get a bad rap, because dude, there's so many people on social media that got nothing else better to do but just like push the agenda of how great their anime is and how bad everything else is compared to it. Like, when I look at the anime community, it's a big family, you know what I mean? Like, we all
Hmm.
watch anime, and a good portion of us were there since the beginning when it wasn't cool. You know what I mean? I mean,
Hmm.
anime's always been cool. I mean, it's just now that your favorite rappers and sports players are saying that they've watched it too, now it's more cool. But, we were all geeks for it at the beginning, apparently. But it's like, bro, in my opinion, I feel like that's when some of the people's lack of social, like, ability shows. Like,
Hmm.
brother, we're sitting over here, and I'm looking at. I open up an app on something or I open up Twitter or X, right?
Hmm.
I see a picture of Naruto. Naruto has this accomplishment. Oh, Naruto just hit blah 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 blah. As soon as I look
Hmm.
at a comment, okay, One Piece hit that a long time ago. One people,
Oh my goodness, man, that
what?
that that's why. Oh man, let's. I mean, if we want to talk about it, I mean, let's talk about, when Luffy went Gear 5 and people were like, oh, Luffy went Gear 5. That's way more iconic than Super Saiyan. Like, bro, like, what? Like, don't do that. Like, because to me, when you do things like that, I feel like you take away from the show you're talking about. I feel like when people were doing that, it's like you take away from One Piece, by like why would you bring, Dragon Ball Z into the topic? Like let's just talk about strictly One Piece. Let's just talk about how cool this transformation is.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people like to compare and contrast so much of stuff, right? And it's really based off of your nostalgia. I think a lot of the older anime fans don't do this that much. Like they don't really care too much as far as the oh um the I think what I'm trying to say is that the new age anime fans do this shit a lot. Where it's like, okay, well, our anime is the greatest of all time, or some shit like that. Which is, excuse me, the greatest anime of all time is very subjective. Obviously, different people are gonna think different things. Me personally, my favorite anime of all time is Naruto. It's really tough to say that that's the greatest of all time because again, it's subjective. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff that's been out there way longer that's been more successful. But I mean, do you base that off of being the greatest anime of all time, or do you base stories off of being the greatest anime of all time? Because you could argue something like Pokemon is the greatest anime of all time because it's the most successful or one of the most successful. But I can name 20 anime right now that have a better storyline than it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it really depends. That's why I never really say that there is a greatest anime of all time. I say that I think that, or I feel like Naruto's my favorite of all time for sure. So I mean, but there are people out here that are just very adamant about there being a greatest anime of all time. And if you ask me, I don't really feel some type of way about most of the things that the anime community says because I don't really care. But like when people hop in and they're like, boom, Jujutsu Kaisen, greatest anime of all time. It has 2 seasons, and the story's not done yet. So like, it could be your favorite, sure. At the moment, that's perfectly fine. The greatest anime of all time can't be a show that hasn't finished yet. I'm sorry. Look at Promised Neverland. The first season was really good. What happened the second season?
Nobody talked about it, to be totally honest with you. I forgot the show exists until you said
Exactly.
something.
So like, wait until the show's done and then talk about it. They were when Demon Slayer first season came out. It is the greatest anime of all time. How? It has 20 episodes and the story's not done yet. How is this better than shows that have had literal thousands of episodes or hundreds of episodes and have built these characters up for a long time? You tell me a little 15 episode series that's not done yet is the best anime of all time? That's crazy.
And then the thing about it is, I mean, it may be like in two different realms
Mm-hmm.
of growth, but think about it. On a micro scale, Demon Slayer is a show about swordsmen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, you saying that it's the greatest of all time, you have to actually go back and look at all the other, shows that have, samurai slash
Mm-hmm.
ninjas, swordsmen, and you're kind of just crapping on them because with 15 episodes, you got to go back and look at at Bleach, you got to go back and look at Ronin Kenshin, you got to go back and look at Afro Samurai, you got to look at Berserk, Samurai Champloo, and even though it's not an anime or whatnot, but Samurai Jack, it's things that it's so many different things that we have to go back and look at before you say something is the greatest, and that's why, it's a little off topic, but still to the point, you know, I don't ever say that there's a definite greatest of all time, basketball player. I feel like there's more so of greatest of all time, possibly within an era. It was maybe the best show of the era because, like you said, if you go back and run the numbers, it's kind of hard to to state that Pokemon is not the greatest anime ever. It's literally
Mm-hmm.
$1 billion monster we're talking about. Pikachu was like what the number one rated anime character for years, you know.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I said it. It really depends based off what your definition is. You know, the greatest of all time is it's more broad than people would like to admit, and I think that that's where that kind of comes into to play with certain things because some people are very recent biased. You know what I mean? Like
They, they
a
definitely are.
a
You know,
show
like
just came out and it looks beautiful, so now it's the greatest of all time. Like it, I feel like a body of work should be something, and obviously it really depends on how it is because like to pivot just a little bit with the basketball stuff, but to go on to your point, I mean, just basing it off of one statistic is very tough because obviously, like, you could say the greatest of all time is just the guy that won the most championships. But, like, what? Robert Ory has, what, 7 chips? He has more than Michael Jordan. Is he better than Michael Jordan? No.
you know, no,
So, I mean, it really depends. You know what I mean? Like, even when you look at Pokemon, success, they're very successful. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of their success as well has came from stuff that wasn't even just the show. I mean, their success from video games is insane. All those Pokemon games that come out, merch, freaking card games, like they that is definitely $1 billion business. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you could have people that could argue that there's on my left hand, I can name shows that have a better story than it because, you know, Pokemon's story is very, I mean, it's very base. It's very simple. You know, I mean, you go around and you collect Pokemon. You gotta catch them all is literally the slogan. It's simple.
exactly. You know, and just a little comparison. You know, to this point, I actually went back and watched Digimon the other day, and I was like, yo, like, why didn't Digimon hit the same status as Pokemon? Because I looked at the storyline of Digimon, I'm like, in my opinion, but like I said, guys, I'm using my opinion. In my opinion, Digimon had a better storyline than Pokemon, and we knew, you know, what I knew growing up in that time, you know, it was always Digimon versus Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was also, you know, when the card game came out, you got to remember, then it became Pokemon versus Yu-Gi-Oh. You know, so it was like, well, I can sit up here and say that Yu-Gi-Oh storyline is crazy great if you actually sit down and just watch the first, what I like to call the first saga of, you know, of Yu-Gi-Oh. You know, we actually
Mm-hmm.
didn't get saga because it goes into, you know, Yugi losing to Pharaoh, and I mean, it's a lot, man. I mean, and their movies were great, but it more so is very, very subjective, you know, and I mean that could possibly just segue to why, you know, us OGs and us newer anime watchers, you know, we gotta stop with the, you know, with the war and just, you know, come together and be like, yo, it's okay to like multiple animes. Like you don't have to hate one because you like the other one. Because I can sit up here and say I hate One Piece and I love Dragon Ball Z, but if you literally watch Dragon Ball Z and One Piece, they are literally alike more than they're different.
And I think how we fix stuff like this is people got to understand that there's not going to always be somebody that agrees with your opinion on something. Again, Naruto's my favorite anime of all time. I'm naive if I think that there's people that everybody in the world agrees with me on that. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand that certain people's opinions are just that. It's their opinions, and they're entitled to that opinion. There could be somebody that thinks that the anime is just not good after what they've seen, and it is what it is. I mean, you can get butthurt about it if you want to. I personally don't. You know what I mean? Because, one, I don't care that much, and two, it's their opinion. They're not going to like everything that I like. You know what I'm saying? Especially considering that depends on what you watch the anime for. You know, me, I like good character development. I like good villains. I like good side characters. I mean, animation is cool. You know what I'm saying? But I don't base it off of the animation. I've seen anime that I really like that have beautiful animation. I've seen anime that I really like that don't have as good as animation. And especially considering that my preference is more or less old school because I like the traditional style. So like Dragon Ball, Evangelion, Yu Yu Hakusho, like that type of animation style, Sailor Moon, where they were just drawing the stuff and making it happen. I love it. I do like the new school stuff too, but like I said, somebody that's been to school for animation and everything, I'm used to like, you know what I mean, doing all of that traditional style. But I think that what we got to do as a whole is to just learn how to be more open. Learn how to be more open towards stuff. Learn how to understand that your opinion isn't going to always be everybody else's opinion. Uh, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's subjective to different people and how their brain works. And that's okay. The part of what I would hope that the anime community is diversity. Be diverse, bro. Somebody's not going to like your show. That's completely fine. You're not going to like every other show in return. That's also completely fine. Don't trash other people's opinions because they don't agree with your opinion or they don't align with your opinion. Like that's just weird to me. I feel like people that aren't really socially adept do shit like that. You know, that's
Most
that's
definitely.
kind of how I feel about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and I definitely have to agree with you on that one. We don't all like the same thing, and that's what makes us human because when we think about the things that we like or even the things that we dislike, like I was saying earlier about, maybe I said it earlier, maybe it's in another segment about how, crying anime characters are not my favorite thing.
Hmm.
But if I wouldn't have sat down and listened to somebody else's opinion and say, hey man, I've watched that show, you gotta keep on watching, I would have missed out on something great. I think after that, My Hero became a great show to me. I like the show,
Hmm.
and it's a newer anime, so just be more open minded and less closed minded.
Yeah, I mean that definitely helps. And that's just with life in general. I mean, be more open minded, bro. You might figure out something new. It's always good to learn something. But at that is pretty much the end of the video. We done went through the list. Let us know if there's something else you guys want us to talk about. If there's something else that peeves you about the anime community that you guys want an open discussion about. You know what I mean? And as usual, we love y'all. Thank you, Kenny, for coming through and giving your expertise on the situation as per usual. Go ahead and hit this. And we shall see you guys later. Peace.
Later on.
Bye.